And we should now be live. I'm just going to check everything's working fine. It is. Excellent. Hello everybody, welcome to the usual Sunday Triclaw stream. I'm just going to give folks some time to pop in, because I think Evo is still streaming or is finishing up, so I'm just going to give people a chance to show up. Hello Joshua, Kairu and Smaug, you are the first three here. How have your days been? Let's have a slurp of tea. I got a new order for amphibians today. I'm not 100% sure what you mean by that, Smaug. Oh, you got some starry-eyed frogs. I've not heard of those. Hang on. Starry-eyed frogs. Oh, wow. Wow, starry-eyed is certainly the name for them. How unusual. Huh. No worries, Smaug. You've gotten back into Prehistoric Kingdom. I'm working on a park in Germany. I really must get back to that myself. So everyone's clear about today, we won't be doing anything with dinosaurs. Basically, everything is already done in terms of the dinosaurs in the park, the animals in the park. This is solely going to be about decoration today. So, you know, obviously if you want any sort of tips or hints or my opinion on anything dinosaur related, you can still ask. But obviously, in terms of what I'm actually going to be doing, primarily decoration. You can see, though, that I have done a few things already. So I didn't particularly like the way the Lagoon was when we finished on Wednesday. So I went back, had a look. I tried everything to give this a roof. I thought about using the aviary biomes, but couldn't make it look right. The wooden roof from the amphibious mod that I have, tried that, couldn't get it to look right. Tried monorail sections, couldn't get it to look right. So in the end, have given up putting a roof over it and have decided instead we'll just surround it instead with trees and rocks. And overall, I'm more pleased with how this looks. And we also have a little tunnel which we've been able to disguise and have the waterfalls down, just to make it a bit more of a sort of environmental thing. Hello, Rob. You can see I've also put in the little towers at either end, and I've put in a viewing log too, so that this particular enclosure actually gets some viewing, because there's actually no viewing in here, or wasn't in here on Wednesday. And this also keeps people at this end of the park too, because I noticed on Wednesday they were basically all crowded here. So this helps to separate the groups around. Hello, Melissa. So yes, today is solely about decoration and making the park look pretty. And I am going to start with this area here around the tunnel entrance and the shop. I think that's a good first place to begin. And while we go through, I'm also going to try and see if we can do some, you know, something different with the decorations. Try and do a few things that I don't usually do, just to show you folks what you know, give you folks some ideas. And something I am going to do with these, if I I can make sure they're lined up correctly. That's good. Oh, blimey, loads of people are popping in. Hello, One Chef Frog. Nicholas, why are ceratopsids and pachycephalosaurids so neutral to each other? I'm not sure. I mean, if I was to try to make a reason as to why pachycephalosaurids and ceratopsians are happy to live alongside each other in this game, I would say ceratopsids and pachycephalosaurids have often been discovered in the same fossil beds, which are indicative of them living in the same areas. So they're probably used to living with each other. That would be what I would say about that. So yeah, something that a lot of people don't realise about these decoration pieces, planters for example, is that they all have these massive concrete blocks underneath, which you can use, if you're using mods for example, to create wall pieces. Obviously, you have to make sure they're lined up and at the same height, but the result is you get a quite nice little wall. I may have made this one a little tall, but that's fine. Yeah, actually, I think we're going to bring the height of this down a bit. That's a little better. Bring the height of that section down. But this one I'm going to keep basically at the same height. So we have a kind of nice two-tier like effect there. You've named one of your frogs after me, Smurf. That's very nice of you. Hello, Berenson. Actually, while I remember, enjoy your new powers, Berenson. Turns into a frog. Right. I think we need a statue here. I'm thinking something impressive. Say... Stego? Yeah, I think a Stego works. Robert, thank you for the donation. It is much appreciated. Yes, the tunnel... This took a surprisingly long length of time. It took over an hour to put all these rocks up here correctly without having them phase too much through the concrete. But I think it certainly adds something to this little waterfall. Obviously, the other thing you have to be careful of is I don't think guests can move through the tunnel. So you might have to be careful, and dinosaurs won't use it either. But it is definitely a good way of having a tunnel in the park. I have to say, I think I don't often do inspiration ideas. So it has been something I've noticed in terms of the content I make is... Like, if I was to compare myself with Evo, Evo does, like, a lot of videos where she'll just build a random thing as inspiration for folks. I don't really do that. I'm very much more of a, I build and assume people will take inspiration from, like, watching me build. So maybe I need to do more sort of random videos where I just build something specifically for the video just as inspiration. That being said, that is kind of the point of the Jurassic Architect Park, which I am going to do a new part on next week. So yeah, that's actually something I need to make people aware. So there's a number of different video editors you can use when you're doing YouTube. The main one that most people use is Adobe Premiere Pro. It's the one that Evo uses. Now, I have for a long time avoided using Premiere Pro because you have to pay for it. It's 20 quid a month. And I was also concerned about it being very complicated to use. And I just thought that the one I was using, which is VideoPad, would satisfy until, you know, the channel was a lot bigger. Unfortunately, and much to my annoyance, the people who make VideoPad the other day released an update which basically categorically broke the video editor for me. It's become a nightmare to use. So I decided, screw it, I'll upgrade to Premiere Pro. The problem with that is, obviously, I'm going to need to learn how to use Premiere Pro. So, the post I made the other day about what videos are going to be coming out in the next couple of weeks is going to change slightly. I'm going to do a couple of relatively simple to edit videos so I can get a grip on Premiere Pro, and then bring back the more complicated videos after that. So there's going to be the tour around Isla Sodor and a new part of the Jurassic Architect Park, and then I'm going to have hopefully enough experience to know what I'm doing with Premiere Pro. That's the plan anyway. However, a wise man said, oft the plans of mice and men go awry. So we'll see how it works. We'll see how it goes. It is a dumb idea to add a like and dislike list in the game. There's a like and dislike list? Is there? I kind of want to backlight the area behind the stego here. So, this is something, in regards to using lighting, this is something I don't think people take note of. Because they often resort to lighting when they do lighting, they have they light the object they want to light, which is like the Stegosaurus in this case. So we're going to light him in a light purple. But then they don't do anything behind. And backlighting sort of what is behind the object you're looking at can sometimes result in a very nice effect. Also draws attention to sort of the vegetation stuff that is behind them. Just worthy of a consideration when you are doing lighting in your parks or making a a specific... I think the orange works well there. Or maybe the green. What did the green look like? I think the orange was better. So just something to consider when you are using lighting like this. Don't just think about the sort of the statue or the object you're wanting to light. Also think about lighting something in the background as well. Oh, you mean the territory system, the like-dislike stuff. Yes. I actually completely agree with you. The like-dislike system in this game is actually something I really, really do not like. And I don't like it because it's been implemented entirely for game balancing reasons and no other reason. The only reason they have that like-dislike system is to make it more complicated for you to make enclosures, which is entirely there just to work as balancing in campaign and challenge mode. So as a result, it doesn't do anything but that. It's just an annoyance. Like, for some animals, maybe it would make sense. Obviously, you don't want, you know, two titanosaurid-like animals, so like Brachiosaurus and Dreadnoughtus living together, because they would both eat the same stuff. But it makes absolutely no sense for, say, certain species of ceratopsians not to get along with each other. Especially when some of those species have been literally found side by side in the fossil beds. Got an awkward little thing here. Maybe we are using the wrong type of planter for that. One thing I don't get about the like and dislike system is that Diplodocus can't be housed with Apatosaurus, Brachiosaurus, and Camarasaurus despite living with them. Exactly. This is an example of where I think the system doesn't work. Obviously, Diplodocus and Apatosaurus, relatively similar feeding habits. They're low to mid grazers. So it makes sense for those two not to get along with each other. But it makes no sense for Camarasaurus and Brachiosaurus not to get along with them, because Brachiosaurus and Camarasaurus are inhabiting the mid to high grazing territory. So they would be fine. Their feeding is not going to interfere with the feeding of Diplodocus. It just makes absolutely no sense. I want this one to have a tree in the middle. Let's go for one of these. Nice. And we're going to put a larger one here. That's going to smooth off that pointy end quite nicely. Just another building tip for you: if you do something like this with the planters, and you get one of these really awkward like flat ends, and it just doesn't look very right with where the path is going to be, one of these circular tree pots just helps curve that off, makes it look a lot nicer. Now I want to kind of hide this section of this building, and I think I'm going to want a fountain here. I'm going to use the Biosyn one. Let's see. There's one, and there's... 1 and 2. Yep. That works fine. Now, how much wall do they have underneath them? They actually have no wall underneath them. That's interesting, actually. That makes this the bias in decoration almost rather unique. Jesus, Smaug. Sakabam Baspis? That's a type of fish. I'm an armored fish, I'm sure of it. Because I'm gonna guess it's along the same route as, like, Boreal Aspis and Bothrial Aspis. I prefer the expanded cohabitation and territories mod. Yeah, I've had a look at that myself, but because I tend to play the game without any of those systems actually on, I haven't used it. I don't install a mod if I don't think it's going to serve any purpose for me. And that one, obviously, because I don't have the cohabitation system turned on, irrespective of the fact that I think it's a broken system. Well, Berenson is, sort of here pretty much every stream, and I wanted to, and has been for quite some time, and I wanted to say thank you. That's why I have promoted him to be a stream moderator. That's not to say I don't appreciate you folks who are always often here as well. It's just I've noticed that Berenson has been really, really good. So just a few flower pots in the fountains, just to give them some vegetation life. Because I think they can be a little dreary without it. And we are going to put a couple of signs up. I feel like some signage for the viewing tunnel. I thought one of these was specifically for the... That's for the domes. That's for the aquarium dome. Is that one supposed to be for the log? It doesn't look like the log. I'm gonna have a first-person look at this. Do I have a guide for installing mods? I haven't. It is on the list to do. Oh, it is the log. Am I the only one that didn't think that looked like the log and just looked like some sort of German World War II bunker? It doesn't look like a log to me. Oh, it's already got signage up. That's silly of me. I want something sort of here in this gap. Maybe that? What other decorations have we got? Is there something else we can put in here? It's a bit big. Maybe just a general sort of... A little swamp puppy would work in here. It's a bit weird because we haven't put them in the actual park, but it would work. Or, maybe just... Maybe... Nah, doesn't really work there. Goodbye, Smaug. Thank you for joining in. Something you'd like to see is extra building sets, Kyrie. I totally agree. One of my biggest bugbears with Jurassic World Evolution 2 is that we have many building sets for facility parks. You know, we have the Biosyn set, the DFW set, the Malta set. But we only have 2 sets for building sort of tourist-focused parks. And that really bugs me. Well, that kind of works there, actually. Yeah. So I completely agree. I think we need another building set. And actually, me and Evo were talking about this earlier, because we were having a discussion about modular building. Because apparently 60% of the people that watch her stuff on her channel want modular building. And me and Evo were like, how is that true? And both me and her came to the general consensus that a majority of those who want modular building, like Planet Zoo, probably do not build in a modular fashion. In fact, most of them probably download the buildings from the workshop and don't actually build in a modular style. The other thing that I mentioned that Evo really agreed with was that I think more would be suitable if the amenity modification system was expanded to include more buildings. You know, so for an example, let's just take one of these planters. Instead of having 4 different versions with 4 different sets of vegetation in, you put down one, you click on it, and you then have a number of different options to flick through. Same with these, like, all the viewing buildings. Like, instead of having 4, have 1, and then give us the option of changing how it looks to suit whatever environment we're in. That way, not only do you have more customization, but you essentially remove assets from the game, which means you can use the space that they would have taken up in the RAM or the GPU or the CPU for something else, like baby dinosaurs, or better, more interesting animations. You can take the space that they would take up on something else. And I just think that's a much better way of doing it. Modular building, and again, this was something me and Evo both agreed with. We think if the game went to modular building style, it would actually kill it. We don't think the game would end up successful if it went modular building. Prehistoric Kingdom has shown that modular building, while impressive, is not a really big selling point. And it's actually the other elements, the content, the species, the rest of it. That's the important bit. Okay, we're just going to put in some trees, some seating down here. I think there's space for another one here. I'm going to go with that. There we go, so we've got a little seating area here with the mural decoration, and we've got our decorative stegosaurus there. I think there's some lighting that we need to do. Yeah, see, that's the other thing that Kairu makes a good point on. Like, if they made Jurassic World Evolution modular, we, by sort of requirement, would need the workshop. And Universal won't let them do that. It's actually sort of the little thing that people don't realize. And it's one of the reasons why I think Frontier have not come out in support of modding, is that there are certain terms within a license agreement about how you depict the agreement. It's why, if anyone plays racing games, you'll know what I'm talking about here. Anyone plays like Formula 1 or any game where you have like licensable car makers, it's why you'll notice that those games have very limited damage systems, so you can't trash the car completely, because they don't want their vehicle to look completely smashed to bits in the game. I know it's stupid, because for us it's just realism, but the car companies don't want the cars to end up looking smashed to bits in the game. That's often why a lot of Formula 1 games have a very reduced damage system. Which personally bugs me, frankly. You can't hit a wall at 200 miles an hour and then have your front wheels come off. It's stupid. Right, what shall we do around here? We've got this little gap here. I think I'm going to make a little garden area. We're going to cover up some of the corners with stones. There we go. And then we're going to place down a tree. There we go. Ooh, it's just big enough to fit in there, isn't it? And then we're going to use that as a centerpiece for the planting we're going to put around it. Let's start with the big plants. What do I want to have? Maybe a nice olive tree. I think that works quite nicely here. We'll put down an olive tree there. And we'll have a smaller one on the other side, bent over the branch like that. Nice. I hope we get the original Main Street amenities and hotels from the movie. See, I can already tell you that we won't. We won't. We might get how they look, but we won't get specifically what they are, because in the movie, they're all real-life companies. And if they wanted to put them in the game, again, they'd have to go to the real-life companies and ask them for permission and blah, blah, blah. So we might get some that look on the outside similar, but we won't get the real-life specifics, what they actually were from the films. Because that would just be a copyright / company ownership nightmare. Again, this is one of the reasons why when I see people in Evos chat that say, "Oh, I wish we had the skin of the Megalodon from the movie Meg, or the ones that want the prehistoric kingdom skins in, or the Walking with Dinosaur skins in," it's like, these are owned by other people, copyright exists, You can't just have everything you want. Be realistic. A botanical... This is one area I think they definitely should focus on in terms of new buildings, is offering attractions that are not necessarily about the dinosaurs. So a botanical garden / greenhouse sort of thing, like a mini museum that we can put fossils that we dig up but don't use. That sort of thing, I think, would be really well appreciated. I want to put a light in here, but I want one that's going to shine directly upwards. And we're going to hide it here. And we're going to change the color of it to... Let's go with this system. I want a color that's like aquamarine. No, maybe... Yeah, something like that. Yeah, not quite green, not quite blue. That's the sort of colour I wanted. I'm hoping that they don't bring back the like and dislike system. I think the territory system needs to be like completely reworked, but I think it is still going to be there in the game somewhere. I'm hoping they rework it though. But this is Frontier. We have to be careful with how optimistic we are. If I can say that in as nice a term as possible. If I was being uncharitable, I would say Frontier have a habit of being lazy pieces of shit. And I will defend anyone who says that they're not, and I would then demonstrate the fact that they are by pointing to the pterosaurs, who still do not have social animation. Right, the back of the viewing the entrance building needs some work because it's a little bit empty, so I'm going to put in some trees just to make it fit the general aesthetic we're going for. I don't want them all to be this type. We're going to mix and match, put a couple of other types of tree in here. Let's put in one of those lovely orange trees. We're going to put in a couple of bushy ones just to fill in the gaps here. There we go, lovely. Yeah, Frontier is known to make weird decisions, very much so. Also, here's a prediction we have. We will only have the tropical biome in Jurassic World Evolution 3 because Jurassic World Rebirth established dinosaurs can't survive outside the equator. Yeah, this is something I have been pondering. And that is how Jurassic World Rebirth and its story is going to influence the development of the game. Now, on the one hand, I would say, well, Jurassic World Dominion and Fallen Kingdom didn't really influence the development of this game. Not really. It wasn't like they really took a lot of the elements of those movies in hand. But on the other hand, they could surprise us. The only thing I would say is that I think if they did go back to just the tropical environment, it would be a really, really terrible decision. Everyone would hate it, and they would be incredibly stupid for doing it. Because one of the things in my top 10 of things I actually like about Jurassic World Evolution 2 video that I did a couple of weeks ago, one of the things on that video was, I really like the biomes. It's really nice to be able to build parks on something that isn't a horrible bright green tropical island. So if they were to return to those really horrible bright green tropical islands, that would be really dumb. They would be really stupid, and everyone would hate it, and yeah, it would definitely be a step backwards from this game. We need more biomes. I don't think we necessarily need more. Well, okay, I'll change that. I don't think we need more biomes. I think we need the taiga biome and the Mediterranean biome needs to be completely reworked. The taiga biome should just be removed and replaced with a savanna biome. Because in terms of biomes, a savanna, like a sort of African brush style, which is probably going to be a mix of like the desert brush and a grasslands brush, that would actually be worthwhile having. I could also see possibly having a lagoon effect or brush that changes based on the biome. Like, I can imagine creating like a lagoon floor that will change depending on the biome. That's something I could see them doing. Because they've said that they're working on some things that people want the most, and a lot of people are thinking, oh, that means like baby dinosaurs or Cenozoic mammals, and I think we should probably be looking at the smaller end of the spectrum. Like, what are some of this much sort of smaller, more perhaps easily implementable ideas that people have had? Things like lagoon foliage brushes, for example, or you know, extra biomes. These are a lot smaller, easier to implement, takes less time, less money. I think those are the things we should be looking at. I think really massive game-changing things like baby dinosaurs, I think are unfortunately potentially too dramatic a thing. I could be wrong, probably am wrong, but on the other hand, Frontier does certainly have a reputation for going with the easier option rather than a difficult one. I didn't realise the Spinoceratops was specifically living in those environments. That's interesting. One thing I would say, I hated the hybrid pack. I thought it was a money-grabbing tactic. I thought it was terrible. However, I would say that the work done on the Ankylodocus was really, really good. I think the Ankylodocus looks awesome now. Maybe not as good as the old mod I used to use for the first game. But it definitely looks really, really good now. And that's primarily because it just looks like an armored dinosaur that I can actually imagine existing naturally, as opposed to the thing we had before. I know I am very generally critical of this game overall, but, you know, credit where credit is due. The Ankylodocus redesign was really, really good. And personally, I think they need to redesign all of the new hybrids that they added to match the quality. Because I personally have never thought that the Spinoraptor or Stegoceratops looked good enough. I thought they were all very cheap. I think that works quite well. I think we're going to need some lighting. I mean, when it comes to Rebirth, I have absolutely zero faith. It's why I haven't done any videos on it. I have zero faith that the movie is going to be any good whatsoever. To get me to go and watch that movie, the trailer is going to have to be so good that it's literally impossible for them. It just won't happen. The trailer would have to be like the most amazing thing since sliced bread. It would have to come with free sex and a good cup of tea. You know, I don't know how else to describe just how unlikely it is for the trailer to actually be able to get me to watch the film. It would have to be categorically the most amazing thing I've seen in my life. And I haven't seen many amazing things in my life, but that is probably never going to be one of them. I'm going to go with the blue, yellow. Going to go yellow light there. Going to go with the blue light there, and we're going to go with a green light in the middle, so we kind of get like a yellow to blue like effect going on. Okay, so there's the decorative work done in the first half of the park. Well, first half of the park, one end of the park. Oh dear. Where shall we move to next? Shall we look at the lagoon? Actually, let's sort out the lagoon. So I want the lagoon to have a rock feature that's going to sort of combine to the fountain and then the background. This is something you do have to be aware of if you're using Kyodenic's mod, is that when you're trying to do things around the lagoons, sometimes you will encounter very unusual behaviors of, like, objects. Oh dear. Where does the Mosasaurus come into Rebirth's excuse? It literally rules the ocean. It could swim wherever, like blue whales or white sharks. Yes, that is an interesting one. I think the biggest problem with the Mosasaurus, in terms of it living wildly at least, is it gaining enough things to eat. There is, you know, a reason why most of the big animals in the ocean, whale sharks, basking sharks, blue whales, humpback whales, you know, the really, really huge life forms eat krill, because krill and zooplankton are amongst the most common, you know, in terms of mass, they're some of the most common life forms on the planet. You can find them anywhere, and they proliferate in huge amounts, and you can eat a huge amount and not really make much of a difference. But when you look at actually, like, in terms of full-on predators, sperm whales, killer whales, they are big, but they're nothing in comparison to a blue whale or a humpback whale. And that's because carnivorous predators, active predators, they kind of limit themselves in how big they can be, because they use a lot of metabolism because they're active. They have to hunt, so they use a lot of metabolism, so they have to eat a lot, and eventually you get to that point where the amount you eat it balances with your metabolism. There's a maximum size, is what I'm saying, to how big a carnivore can legitimately grow with the food stuff that's around it. Now, for mosasaurs back, 65 million years ago, that was fine because there was other giant life around that it could easily go and kill. You know, there were plesiosaurs everywhere. There were smaller mosasaurs everywhere. It's not like that anymore. You could go up against whales, but again, mosasaurs, not really designed to take on whales. They're designed to take on plesiosaurs and other mosasaurs. They have very narrow, slender jaws, perfect for snapping around the necks of plesiosaurs, or perfect for holding onto the bodies of mosasaur-shaped prey. Not really suitable for massive, blubbery things like whales. The only thing that could contend with the Mosasaurus is an orca or a sperm whale, but yeah. Like, obviously the Mosasaurus being out in natural waters would be horrific for the ecosystem, because it would just utterly destroy certain food chains. But it's only one of them. So, you know. Plus, you'd probably find that it would limit itself to tropical oceans around the equator. So it's probably going to be feasting on, great whites and that sort of thing. That's looking good. I want some fluffy bushes in here, though. 66 million years ago, 65, yeah, You know what I mean. I was just using paleontology shorthand there, Berenson. It's quite nice. I feel like we need something on the back. Maybe a pterosaur of some description? Or a dinosaur. A little cerato, maybe? Okay, let's turn it. Let's rise it. No, you're going off into space, Ceratosaurus. That's not permitted. Ceratosauruses, Ceratosaurusi, are not allowed to go off into space. It's just not permitted. Looks alright, doesn't it? Needs more Dinocaris. Sam, I'm surprised you were even able to spell Dinocaris. Don't worry, folks. I know Sam in real life. we take the mick out of each other all the time. Should be said that Sam likes to pick on me plenty. I feel like the Ceratosaurus needs a more directional light shining at it. No idea what you mean, good sir. Of course, of course. Everyone press X to doubt in chat. Okay, I want a directional light, please. That's not quite what I was after. I think it needs to go on the other side. I think maybe the light needs to be shining on the side people can actually flippin' well see. One of these days I'll remember to click the right buttons. I keep forgetting, you see, that I have to put the object down before I can use Kyodenics mod on the object. You know what? It might just be easier to light it up from underneath. He says. Maybe not. Maybe it would just have to remain like that for the time being. Actually, you can see some of it at least. Right. What sort of environment shall we do for inside the lagoon? Since we haven't decorated this yet, what sort of thing shall we do? I want to do something that's a little bit different, so people suggesting just a coral reef or a volcanic biome. Try and have a bit more imagination. Alien. We don't have something that can be used as an alien spaceship. I've already done a sunken ship. decorations do we have? Maybe we could do like a sunken... Oh, that's a bit big. These are all way too big. They would take up too much room. Sunken Teratops Lodge. That could be fun, but that would also take up a lot of room. I do like the idea of like a sunken... like a sunken shop or sunken facility, something like that. The question is finding one that is not stupidly overly sized. Maybe, oh, actually, why don't we put like a ruin in? That would work. Hang on. Let's grab you. Let's sink you. I've just accidentally pressed the wrong button. What am I on? I want to be on freeform. Thank you. Okay, let's sink you down. And sink you down quite a bit, about there. Hey, that kind of works, doesn't it? Okay. Then let's put some of the classic kelp around. We'll put some of the mod kelp because, you know, the superior modded kelp. And then we'll put a couple of the cheapo... Oops, we left it in the Google Drive folder and didn't realize. Frontier kelp. Let's put another kelp splodge in there. Quite like this whale skeleton that the kelp mod came with. I want to have this somewhere else. It's quite a small lagoon, but let's maybe have it sort of here. That works. Let's have a couple of kelp around it too. And I want a bubbly vent, the bubbly vent. Let's put a couple of bubblies through this hallway. So it looks like the hallway has cracked underneath the building and sunk it down. Little kelp! Don't give little ideas, Sam. They'll start selling it in the shops. Post-nuclear lagoon vibe. That's such a good vibe. Maybe we could also put like some chunky pillars about. I do like a good chunky pillar. I think that's really good. I really like that. Right. Sorry, I was just responding to a couple of messages. I want to try and try and have the lighting coming sort of through the windows. For that extra spooky feel. And then also have some backlighting amongst the coral amongst the kelp. Same with there and there and there. And definitely want to couple the kind of backlight to the rib cage. Nice. And probably want a couple around here and around there. Spotlights are the best. Right, so around here we're going to keep the kelp as a nice warm green. And then we're going to colour this orange that stands out. Maybe red? Red stands out. Red stands out better. Now for these backlights I want to keep them that sort of volcanic orange sort of effect that we have going on with the bubble towers. And this one we'll just colour red. Oh yes, very creepy. This one we'll do is like a blue. Same with that one, and this one back here. This one will has a healthy green. I feel like we need one in, like, the actual tower of this. How easy would it be to sink one in there? For it to really be noticeable, it's going to have to be a floodlight, isn't it? Oh, I can't see where the edge of this tower is. Where are the windows? I think... No, I didn't want you to do that. Okay, I'm gonna have to risk it. About there? About there. It's a bit noticeable in the daytime. But in the nighttime... I should probably just switch to camera mode, shouldn't I? I need to really start doing that more often. Looks kind of alright. I wish we could change the colour of the lighting there, but it looks alright. It does diminish the orange down here a bit. But maybe if we change that to red. It's still not very noticeable. Know what? I've made a decision. I'm going to remove that. I think this looks better without it. Yeah, the sort of gloomy, shadowy effect looks just better, as does the red lighting behind the windows. That just looks better to me. The glowy Stixos. Oh, is that going to be a... You bastard. It's not going to be a Photoshop or a photo opportunity. That's annoying, although that might be. It's actually quite a spooky photo, isn't it? Oh, can you get further down? Kind of works though, doesn't it? The lux patterns really do add something. I kind of wish more animals had them. I know that it's quite controversial to say that, but I think every animal should have a lux pattern, or at least a couple to pick from, because it really does add something to these guys. Anyway, I think that's pretty good for decoration. Right, next bit is moving on to this tunnel. I quite want to do this tunnel next. Yeah, it would have been nice to have one Lux Flyer pattern. I think honestly the Thanatos Dracon should have had it. It would have made the Thanatos Dracon like instantly more worthwhile. Because if I'm honest, I think a lot of people, when they build an aviary, I think a majority of people just put a flippin' Quetzalcoatlus in there these days. That seems to be the only aviary species anyone remembers. That's good. Thanatos Dracon and Yehalopterus. They're two good options. Glowy Yehalopterus would have been a Firefly for sure. I don't care for Quetz, it looks cramped. It does have Dimorphodon, Sam. Not that, again, anyone uses it. At some point, I would love to do... Like, I would probably need to ask Evo for her help to do it, because she has more subs. I would love to do some polls and find out what the species are that people never use. And I bet you there's a lot of them. I bet you there is a lot of species that do not get used. In fact, I'm going to go out on a limb and say, I reckon 60, like 2/3 of the species that are in the database do not ever get used by some people. That would be my bet. 2/3. And I bet you that the ones that don't get used are like all the same ones too. Dimorphodon amongst them, for example. I bet Dimorphodon rarely gets used. I bet Pterodactylus rarely gets used. I bet Tropiognathus rarely gets used, because I don't see that come up very often. I bet Baryonyx doesn't get used, but that's because the Baryonyx model is disgusting. I actually really like that. Although the tree coming out at an angle I don't like, because it doesn't make sense, but... You know what? Maybe an olive tree instead. I didn't want a tree that goes straight upwards, because that's just not realistic. I wanted like a tree that was slightly bent. An olive tree is probably a better option for that. Where can we... Where was that fir tree that was like kind of here, wasn't it? Yeah, that's nicer. Looks more like it's had to work its way round and through the rocks and stuff. Maybe if we put it up here and twisted it round. Oh no, that's better. I like that. That's better. Maybe if we gave it a slight amount of angling as well, so it's like a little bit... Yes. That's better. Prefer that. I quite like this little patch of like papyrusy stuff here. I think it suits. In fact, I want to try and you know, just make it look like it's supposed to be there. So I'm just gonna add a couple of like little rocks here. We don't really have a similar sort of type of material, so I'm just going to put some like other more general plants around here. That looks better. I love Pterodactylus and Tropiognathus, but that's just probably me. I mean, I love Tropiognathus. Pterodactylus I would remove, personally. If Pterodactylus didn't come back to Jurassic World Evolution 3, whatever they decide to call it, I wouldn't be particularly bothered. I try to use every creature, but I often find myself gravitating towards better species. Quetz, better than Thanatos. Barry, not as good as Suko. Compy, not as good as Silo. Moser, not as good as Meg. Yeah, I think that's one of the problems with having such a really large number of animals that are all relatively similar, is that you end up experiencing this problem of there are animals that are better, that have better skins or just generally more presence, so you don't end up using the ones that are kind of like their half-priced wannabes, for want of a better term. I want to hide that little awkwardness there. Jurassic... The Jurassic World Pteranodon, I absolutely cannot stand. I am fully with you there, Rob. I want more environment scenery decorations like dino nests, more dino dung, and lay down dino skeletons. More dino skeletons would be good to have. There is something I do want more of, but I know they won't ever do it because family friendly. I wish they would remember that this is like a semi-horror franchise, and I wish we would have like some more sort of gory sort of decorations, like bodies or of like dinosaurs, or like proper skeleton patches, or like destroyed cars, or I wish the franchise would remember it's a horror or a thriller slash horror franchise. I wish they would remember that. I feel like Jurassic World has become so family friendly, it's verging on too family friendly. I do fear that they've tried to turn the Jurassic World films into comedies, to be honest. Or at least they try to make them funny. Like I definitely noticed it with Chris Pratt. Like in the originals, the humor was accidental. Like what was funny about them wasn't deliberate. The humor was completely coincidental and contextual. And then with Chris Pratt, they tried to make them deliberately funny, and it was just bad, man. I mean, I don't find Chris Pratt particularly funny as an individual anyway. These algae patches really add something to water, don't they? Don't even get me started on the lava scene. That, me and Michael, Nerd Guy Productions, who you might remember I did the review with, we both absolutely couldn't stand that lava scene. We thought it was just not funny, it just totally ruined the moment. Okay, this is looking good. I'm quite happy with how this is going so far. What sort of environment do we want inside the enclosure? I'm aware we've only got like half an hour left, and we've not done a huge amount. Decoration always takes time. Yeah, what sort of environment shall we have in here? Again, I kind of want to try and see if we can come up with something different. Hello, Goofy Goof. Oasis. The colour of the sand doesn't really lend itself well to an oasis. If it was slightly lighter, I would say we could get away with it. We could try and add like the snow effects down to lighten up the sand. But if that looks more like a salt flat to me when you do that. A Japanese inspired habitat. Again, I don't know how we would manage that with what we have. What stuff do we have? Let's have a look. I mean, I suppose we could go all out with the Mayan look and like make it look like a proper Mayan habitat. Kind of want to put one of these guys in here, just as like a random like little animatronic. might do that. I'll decide. I do a lot of volcanic habitats. I don't want to do a volcanic one again. A jungle, lush overgrowth with minimal trees. Or a ruin park. We could... hang on. Let's... because we've got the ruins in the lagoon. Let's try to make... let's use like a combination of these ruins and the Mayan pieces and try and go for something a bit Jurassic World rebirthy, perhaps. I feel like we could probably do with another one. If we combine like two, so we have like a longer section here. And let's make it a little bit more level, at least that side. Let's like sink it down a bit more that side. Oops, sorry Pentaceratops. You're in the way, Pentaceratops. Give it a moment. Bye-bye, One Chuff Frog. While I'm waiting for this, so I was watching a deep dive for a game that I'm very much looking forward to, which is 2 Point Museum, which is going to become probably when it comes out, it's going to be like the next game for the channel, because I think it looks really good and really fun to play, and there are kind of like dinosaurs in it. I'm just trying to see if I can find a picture of the thing I saw the other day, but naturally Bing's image search is absolutely useless. Have they not actually shown it? Hang on a second. I'm sure I've got this somewhere. I think I put a picture of it in the Evos Discord somewhere. it didn't. That's annoying. Okay, well, basically what happened is that for 2 Point Museum, they've made their own Stegoceratops. They've literally got a dinosaur fossil in it that is a combination of a Stegosaurus with a Triceratops skull and a literal hammer, like, you know, the tool, a hammer, on its tail. And they've called it a Sharp on Tops. Which I thought was great. The Sharp on Tops. It made me giggle. So yeah, I'm looking very much forward to 2 Point Museum coming out, and like I say, I will be playing it on the channel as a dinosaur game, because it is basically the dinosaur fossils in it are dinosaurs. So the 2 Point games are also usually generally pretty funny. Okay, let's bury you down to there. And let's bury you. I feel like we need a ruin in this river somewhere to sort of get the look. Problem with these sandstone bits is that they really do not suit the colour. These Mayan pieces would. Let's grab one of you. And we're going to do that with you. Have you flat but angled and then sink you down. That kind of works. Maybe have you like at the very end here? I think maybe if we sink you down a little bit more and no, and then have a little bit more of yourself. Yeah, that'll do. That works. And then I feel like to suit the effect, we need another one. Let's have one here, but let's make it shorter. And again, let's kind of make it a bit skewiff. Yeah. Okay. Fletcher, how invasive of a species would Utahraptor be to Europe if they just showed up? Like, say, 1,000 spawn out of nowhere. Like 1,000 just spawn out of nowhere. Loving your work, Robert. It's kind of difficult to know. I think it would be very dependent on where they actually appeared. Because obviously some parts of Europe are going to be better for them than others. I think it would definitely be a bad thing, because obviously anyone who does farming agriculture, they're going to suffer definite fatalities of livestock. I think for general people, they'd be okay unless they were traveling around places at night, and then there would be serious risk if they were traveling at night. I actually really like how this looks. Thank you, Robert, for that tip. That's a great tip. Make it more pretty. That's what I was thinking. How can I make it more pretty? I would love like posts, but we don't really have any. Actually, we do. They're just a bit thin. Needs to be a little thicker than that. Like something that thickness would work, but obviously it's a light. Now, maybe if we sank one in a little bit and kind of so sink it down and then squiff it a bit so it looks like it's come loose. Ooh, I know what maybe the bamboo? No, not the bamboo. That looks awful. Too big. Too flagpole-y. Too much like a bench, although it has occurred to me that if you want something that looks more like a wooden bridge, you could use the benches. Maybe these concrete poles are the way to go. Yeah. It's not too bad. You can kind of imagine that there would be like a wooden, like, balustrade or something on them. But it's just rotted away. I think that works. these to be sunken down so that they look like they're just poking out of the surface, kind of responsible for chewing up some of the wreck. Same here, kind of want to put a couple into here just to make it look like they've hit the bridge and kind of sunk. Yep, don't worry, Rob, I shall be putting plenty of firms and that sort of thing around. What dinosaur or flying reptile do you think has never been represented correctly in any media? Ooh. That's a tricky question. You know, this might be a bit of a cop-out answer, but it's probably the only answer that I agree with. And that is, I generally don't think that the time of the dinosaurs has been very well represented in any media at all. As a general point. There are certainly good shows and bad shows. Examples of good shows, definitely Walking with Dinosaurs, Prehistoric Planet. Examples of bad shows, definitely Dinosaur with Stephen Fry. However, as good as some of these shows are, I don't think any of them have quite got it 100%. And there is a good reason for that. And it's a reason that I think is always going to plague dinosaur games and dinosaur media, that's never going to change, and you can't change it yourself. And that is the simple fact that dinosaur media requires by default to often talk about the dinosaurs that are well known. Triceratops, T-Rex, Diplodocus, Stegosaurus, Allosaurus, Velociraptor. They're the ones primarily that get spoken about because they have to be. Because the general population knows about them, and the dinosaurs that are perhaps rarer, more interesting, less well known, very much often get either ignored, sidelined, or barely spoken about. And I think that's a problem with dinosaur media as a whole, is that we are too reliant on species that people are aware of. And that won't change. You can't change that. Because to get people watching your program, you're going to have T-Rex. You're going to have the big ticket dinosaurs in there. It's one of the reasons why Walking with Dinosaurs is remembered, and Walking with Beasts and Walking with Monsters is only remembered by those few of us who are solid fans of the Walking with franchise. And I saw that myself back when they came out on TV. When Walking with Dinosaurs came onto television, it was huge. Everyone was talking about it. It was like that might be too much, actually. Actually, maybe not. It was like the Marvel movie of its day. It was like Civil War or Endgame or whatever the big Marvel movie was of the day. Everybody seemed to be talking about it. It was all over the newspapers. It was all over the news. It was being spoken about by people you'd encounter in the street or in school. I remember because I was at school at the time Walking with Dinosaurs came out. All the teachers were going on about it. It was a thing for weeks. Walking with Monsters, I didn't even realise Walking with Monsters was on TV until I saw it pop up in a magazine, in one of those, TV guide magazines, and I saw it in the listings. And I missed the first episode. Only ever saw episode 2 and 3 until I brought it on DVD. Because it wasn't advertised. No one knew about it. Walking with Beasts, no one talked about it. There was none of the fanfare. But Walking with Dinosaurs, my God, was that the thing when it was on TV. Walking with Beasts is the one that holds up the best today. Ooh, see, this just does remind me that I still have not yet done the Walking with Dinosaurs retrospective review I've been wanting to do for ages, ever since Dinosaur with Stephen Fry. It's just, you know how it is. You want to do something and you realise it's going to take so much research. And for me, I think I've realised that for me to be able to do the retrospectives, I would have to not do any other videos for like a month for me to focus solely on doing it. I suppose the other thing is that I have a little bit of a personal, not necessarily a phobia, but a kind of personal hang-up, in that I feel like I have nothing new to say about it. One of the reasons I really like my 10 things you might not know about X animal is because I feel like I can actually go and look at all these scientific studies and everything else and find those interesting little informations that perhaps no one else has heard, which for me is like the point. It's like something unique, like I'm telling you something you may not have ever heard before. But when it comes to Walking with Dinosaurs, I feel like there's nothing new that I can really impart. Like, everyone knows the mistakes and inaccuracies and stuff. Everybody knows how it was filmed and made and developed and everything else. So I'm kind of struggling to have like a focus, like a perspective to make it, which is what I'm waiting and trying to figure out. Like, I'm trying to come up with like what is going to be my focus for this, because it's like writing an essay really, and a good essay, you have to have something you want to say or a particular focus. Even better if that particular focus or thing you want to say is like particularly outrageous. I mean, perhaps I should use my belief that I think Walking with Dinosaurs is better than Prehistoric Planet as my focus. Because I legitimately do. I do think Walking with Dinosaurs is better than Prehistoric Planet. This is actually looking really good. The more I'm layering the vegetation in here, the more I'm really liking how this is looking. Spinosaurus, I think, is one of those animals that suffers from misrepresentation a lot. But then I don't think that's anyone's fault, but the fact that Spinosaurus itself is an animal whose appearance has greatly altered and seems to alter every single year. It makes me laugh when you see these Spinosaurus models and they use the words paleo accurate, and I'm like, shouldn't it say like paleo accurate for this year? Because every year the shape changes. We're gonna need like a 2020 version and a 2014 version and a 2024 version. Put in current year when you're doing that. You know, I think we might just about be there. Obviously, there's more work that needs to be done on this. But I think this is looking really, really good. Rob, your suggestion with these the roofs of the towers, such a flipping good idea. I'm going to use that in so many other places now because it looks so good. It didn't occur to me to lower them down like that. It's those weird things, isn't it? There's just the weird oddities that you just don't think of until you do it, and then it's like, my god, why wasn't I doing that before? My god in Himmel, it is so obvious. I am really, really happy with this. Obviously, the rest of the enclosure is then going to have to be, you know, similarly. The rest of the enclosure is going to have to be similarly. Why am I having so much problem with that word? The rest of the enclosure is going to have to be artistically designed to match this river. There we go. Oh, Jesus. Similarly. Similarly. Oh, dear. It's always the easy ones that catch me out. Specific, pacific is fine. Anemone is fine. But trying to say similarly, it just goes out the window. But yeah, I think this this little like Mayan-esque ruin area, it reminds me of an old game show I used to watch, Crystal Maze. Reminds me of their Aztec zone, actually. But I think that looks really good. And the idea of using the roofs of those buildings as stone tiles, that's such a good idea. Such a good idea. Anyway, it is now 11 o'clock. I'm going to save here, take screenshots and what have you, and... Oh my god, we barely did anything. It's a 4x4 park. And we've managed to decorate the lagoon and do a little bit of gardens and some vegetation planting, and that's about it. God, it takes so long. Agent Joe723, can you show me around, please? Okay, well, we'll go through what we've done. We've done the entrance area with our nice Ankylodocus statue, a little olive tree garden area. We have the entrance to the viewing log with a nice Stegosaurus statue and nice little seating area next door. We did the lagoon, which we gave them a nice little cliffside backdrop with Ceratosaurus on top, and then inside the lagoon we've given them a nice sunken kelpie ruin to give it a bit of a horror-esque feel, I suppose. And then we've done the tunnels. We've decorated the rock effects over the tunnels, given them a nice load of planting, done a few planting features, and then we've done our sort of Aztec Mayan river ruin here for our animals to go through. There's a photo opportunity here. The Tachaya Tarchia. Jesus Christ. The Tarchia is in a good position for that. Maybe from this angle. Yes. I know it's cheating, but one of the things you can do. Ah, that's interesting. Really, Kai? Ah, there we go. If you grab an animal when it's on the land with... Oh, Kai Denix mod snaps it. If it's... Ah, that's annoying. That's disappointing. Ah, okay, there we go. Oh, but it's sunken into the... Damn. That's annoying. I wonder if we like raise it here. Oh, we can't raise it either. Damn. Oh well, I tried. Thank you, Agent. Well, if you like what you see the look of, I will be probably finishing this park next week. Probably for the Friday stream again, I shall finish this park because I would really like this park to be finished off, and it's nice to just build something kind of small. And I didn't realize that this had changed the height of this background. Interesting. Anyway, yeah, so on Friday we'll come back to this and we'll do some more work on the main enclosure and hopefully actually finish it off. I might do a little bit of stuff off screen so that the only thing we have to do is like the central enclosure. But yeah, thank you everyone for joining in. If you haven't liked the video already, please do so. If you have not subscribed already, please do so. And I will see you on Friday. Hopefully Fallout will be better enough to do his stream on Wednesday as well. So hopefully we'll see you guys then. And wherever you are, enjoy the rest of your Sundays, stay safe, and good night.